wrestling program. Joe Stuart here with head men's and women's wrestling coach Chad Hanke. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Glad you could be here, and we're all really excited to see what you guys are going to do this year. Is you get the wrestling program off the ground, the first ever for women's wrestling at Linfield, and the first for the men since the mid '80s, which is pretty incredible.
It's been a minute,
Yeah, you're bringing it back from the dead. Basically.
Yeah.
But what has the process been like this last year, trying to start a program from the ground up? You had some club action last year, but just kind of take us through what this whole whirlwind process has been since you got here.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we had a little bit of a club team last year. It wasn't a full lineup or anything like that, but it was just current, students that were interested in wrestling. And I used that opportunity to develop the team, because all of them came back this year, and to also recruit. Right, and that was the biggest thing. Is like, well, all right, we start a program, now we have to fill the roster, right? And my goal was to get 2 complete rosters, which is 10 weight classes each, right? And we accomplished that, so I'm really proud of that. I attribute a lot of our recruiting success to my assistant coach, Alyssa Lampy, and the excitement in the area, in the state of Oregon, and just the revival of wrestling in general. Just all those ingredients combined kind of made a successful year recruiting, and that was my main focus this last year. Now it's like, okay, now we can do the fun stuff, right? Now we start practicing. We just got through preseason, and we're starting our first competition, our first home match here on Thursday, so against Pacific University.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second, but I mean that sounds really cool. I'm sure all the kids are just super pumped to be at this point too, and be building something from the ground up. Yeah,
literally it was a lot of my sales pitch with it. It's a leap of faith, right? Honestly, we didn't have a wrestling room, we didn't have a competition mat or singlets or uniforms or the little things that a lot of programs you kind of inherit, right? So just like, hey, trust me, trust the process, trust the school, right? And they all did, and it's all come together. We have all those things now, right? So we have the wrestling room, we have the uniforms and all that stuff, and we have the athletes, and they're just eager and hungry and ready to compete.
Let's talk about your background a little bit. You were the head coach at Dayton High School, a local guy, making the move over here to Linfield. For that, assistant at CSU Bakerfield, American University, volunteer coach at Oregon State for a year, your alma mater. What has your path been like, kind of get to this point, and now here you are running your own college program?
Like you said, I grew up a long ways away from here, man. Right down the road in Dayton, went to Dayton High School, and I actually grew up in the McMinnville School District. So there's a little trail right outside here on campus. It's about 1.5 miles around. My dad used to drop me off. I used to run it all the time. Yeah, so I have roots here in the county, in the area. And like you said, I went from Dayton High School, where I was a 3-time state champ, and then I got an opportunity to wrestle at Oregon State, and we were very successful when I was there. We were a top 10 team. We were very competitive at the highest level, and then that kind of segued into volunteer coaching position as I was still training for the Olympics there at Oregon State. And then at some point you have to make a decision on what you want to do, and I had a passion for coaching and decided to dive into that full time, and packed up all of my stuff and moved from the West Coast to the East Coast and coached at American University. I was there for 3 years, and then back down to California on the West Coast. I was down in Cal State Bakersfield for 2 years, and then when Linfield decided to add a program, they called me up and honestly thought somebody was pulling my leg. I was like, McMinnville, Oregon, like where I grew up? Absolutely. And so I came out here, applied. It just seemed like a perfect fit, and I'm just excited to get started. And to really build something from the ground up is really special.
And how about your assistant coach, Coach Lampy? She seemed like a big get when you added her to the staff. What's it been like having her?
Yeah, so I'm really fortunate. Oregon State, my alma mater, they have a regional training center out there where she was actually competing and training, and she's a multiple-time world bronze medalist, and she was local right down the street. Right. And I knew it was the importance of men's and women's wrestling. Women's wrestling right now is just absolutely skyrocketing. The participation numbers every year are just like going crazy. So to get somebody that's kind of a pioneer and a leader in that area was pie in the sky. It was like, man, I wish I could get somebody like Alyssa Lampy, but you got to shoot your shot. And I gave her a call, and she was like, yeah, actually I could see myself transitioning to being a coach, when her wrestling career is over. And I was, well, hey, we're right down the road, man. So she said, yeah, and here we are. So it's been great.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that the kids are all super eager and pumped to really get the season going and earn. But you got a difficult task trying to build culture from the ground up. It's not something that happens overnight. What's that process been like? Yeah,
culture is the biggest thing, and character, right? That's the biggest thing that when we talk to kids when we're recruiting them, that's one of our points of emphasis, right? Is we want the right type of kids, not necessarily the best kids, right? But you, at this level, you have to be willing to work hard and have a positive attitude. So really enforcing that and reminding them and talking to them, communicating to them that, hey, you know, I know you're a freshman, but you might have to step up sooner than you anticipated to be a leader, right? And we've had people step up and fulfill those roles, and I've been really pleased with how our team's culture has been.
That's awesome. You know, we're all, most of us here at Linfield are pretty novice to wrestling, and one of the most interesting things about it is that unlike most of our other sports where there's a men's counterpart and a women's counterpart, it's two different styles. So how about you kind of explain that for all of us and for the folks, kind of the differences? Wrestling
is unique. Men and women wrestle two different styles. I guess you can kind of relate it to baseball, softball, where, you know, like, the rules are similar, the sport, there's a ball and a bat, right? You know, with wrestling, it's like, a takedown's a takedown, but the scoring's completely different, right? Personally, I'm a fan of the women's wrestling because it's a higher pace and there's a lot of action. I think fans are going to enjoy that style of wrestling more, right? So we'll see. It might be a little confusing at first. Our first home duel, when you see the guys go out there and wrestle, you're like, okay, I think I'm starting to get the hang of it. And the girls go out there, it's going to be something completely different. So it's exciting, and everyone's eager to get going and learn, and I'm excited to get started too. So
you got the season started with a couple of meets this last weekend, but what has the process been like? Preseason training and workouts, obviously, you have to be limited due to NCAA rules, and with no upperclassmen, I'm sure that kind of lends another challenge there.
Yeah, you know, it was getting everybody on campus first, getting them settled in, right, reassuring them that, hey, this is a real thing, right, but we are limited in what we can do. So having them lift, their strength training is really important in wrestling, right? So we've been lifting, and at the same time, you know, getting the cardio and putting the road work in. And in wrestling, it's kind of a unique sport, right, because you have to manage your weight. So starting to talk about what weight class do you see yourself wrestling? Do you want to get bigger? Do you want to get smaller? And adjusting kind of the workouts accordingly.
Yeah. So let's get into your first couple of meets. You started the season this last weekend at the Washington State Wrestling Coaches Association duel.
Yeah.
I hope I got that right.
Yeah. Good job.
The women took on Big Bend Community College, and unfortunately Big Bend unable to field a whole team just due to health and injury and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But you were able to get the win, 9-6, as Ayanna Medina and Alice Rickett come away with the first two Linfield women's wrestling wins in history. What did you like out of that, the women's side performance against Big Bend?
Well, I really liked the fact that they made history, right? The first time ever, and we got two wins. Unfortunately, like you said, Big Bend was hurting with injuries and illnesses, but we have to go out there and wrestle who's out there and who they put out in front of you. So the fact that they stepped up, you know, I didn't want to put too much pressure on them. I think they already understood the gravity of the situation, and that's kind of the reason why they chose Linfield, is they did want to make history, right? They want to be the first, and we kind of joke about it in practice, like, you get the opportunity to be the first to do anything, right? Get the first takedown, the first win, the first pin, which Medina did get, and be the first All-American, first national champ, who knows? So I was really pleased with that, and what I saw out there, they wrestled hard and competed hard. It's only going to get better. It's a long season, so.
Sure, and of course, you know, in a long season, when everybody's starting from the ground up and it's almost all freshmen, that development, I'm sure everybody's really going to be really excited to see just the growth trajectory throughout the course of the year. Then the men went against one of the top junior college wrestling programs in the nation against North Idaho, and not as pretty a result there.
No.
But your guys fought hard. Jacob Barnes comes away with the first men's wrestling win since 1984. A little bit of history there, not quite as big as first ever on the women's side, but Barnes, the Oregon State transfer, and another local product with a big impact. And then Lance Van Hoot and Price Fatier both with some hard-fought decisions. What did you see on the men's side, even going up against a really tough test?
Yeah, you're right. And the thing I liked the most about it was they competed hard, right? And that's all you can ask for, is go out there, put your best foot forward, right? And we were in a few of those matches, like you mentioned, that could have easily gone our way, right? So It's a long season, and there's definitely room to improve, but I can tell you, man, like the team that we have at the beginning of the year is not going to be the same as the team we have at the end of the year. People are going to make so many gains because we have such a young team, right? And this is all part of the growth and learning experience. So that's why I say all I can ask for them is go out there and compete hard, and they did that, and I'm extremely happy with how they handled that.
So certainly all the names we just went down there already making an impact. Who else should the fans keep an eye on to see who could make a big impact and make big strides?
Like we mentioned earlier that we had, last year I was here with the club team, and Jacob Jarvis was on that team, and he has just been an absolute leader, and he's been a role model for some of the younger incoming freshmen. So I'd keep an eye on him. He works his butt off, and I'm really excited about what he could potentially accomplish this year. And his training partner, Micah Worthington, just one weight class above him. So, you kind of see that a lot with wrestling teams is if you have a good wrestler, then the person next to him, either up or down, is usually pretty good too, because iron sharpens iron. They work out all the time together. So
absolutely. How about on the women's side?
On the women's side, hey, I'm excited. I'm really excited about our women's team. Alice and Ayana, like the two that got the win against Big Bend, obviously they were rock stars in high school, and I can see them continue their success, and there's a lot. I don't want to single anybody out in particular because the whole team has just been working really hard, and it could be any one of them any given day. So
first home match coming up this week on Thursday night against Pacific, the only Northwest Conference school that has had a long-standing wrestling program before you guys showed up as the new kids on the block. What will you be looking for against Pacific in Ted Wilson Gymnasium this Thursday?
Just like I mentioned before, just hard work and effort. Right, that's all you can really ask for. We want to put a good product out there. We want people to get excited about Linfield wrestling. So not really concerned about the wins and losses, just exciting, hard wrestling, and I want it to be loud and crazy, and it's a special moment. It's a historical moment that we're all really looking forward to.
Sure to be a fun time. I'm
excited.
The team's excited. Everyone's excited. We sure hope you come down and cheer on the Cats in person on Thursday night as they take on Pacific here in McMinnville. But of course, we'll have live coverage for you as well on the Linfield Sports Network, as we will for all home matches this season. That one's at 6 o'clock, the dual meet for both men's and women's. Coach, thanks for the time.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks.